So, I have to say that today has been kind of a rough day for me emotionally. No particular reason. Um, I'm not on my laptop because I've had to work today, a double, unexpectedly, so I couldn't exactly bring my laptop and all that stuff because I have no connectivity here. So, we're going to see how this goes. Um, anyway, I did want to mention that I've been thinking to do some kind of YouTube content for a while. Um, and, I've had a couple of friends who, were considering doing such a thing with me. And, the problem has always been, well, there's been two problems. One has been just the logistics of getting something done. Um, we all live in three different areas, and it would have to be some kind of Zoom thing or whatever. And okay, yeah, that technology is pretty established now, but actually, knowing how to use it and get it all working and all that stuff, well, I don't think any of the three of us had really stepped up to try to figure that out. And then the other problem, of course, was content. Now, we're all political, so the idea for a while was maybe to do something politically. But to be honest, I've looked at I've watched lots of different things on YouTube, watched some political content there, and I don't really see our commentary on politics doing a whole lot that isn't already out there, at least not successfully. And that's the other thing too. I mean, what's the point of doing this? I mean, I suppose it is to get views. It is to get some kind of an audience of some kind. Um, at this point, that's not really even what I'm looking at right now. I'm just looking at um, thinking about how to create content and continuing to create content and seeing what happens. But that's the problem, right? I mean, what is the content that I can provide that is perhaps different, unique, or interesting enough to get something of an audience? Now, what kind of an audience? Well, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it does seem that, the big channels on YouTube get quite a bit of a business, and some of them aren't much more sophisticated than what I'm capable of doing, and still have a decent following. I mean, because ultimately, all the flash bang, all the pyrotechnics, the dump cuts, and all the kind of things that YouTube is known for, and of course, there's some creators that have very creative kind of approach to things. Like, there's one woman I enjoy watching who personifies all of her body parts, particularly her reproductive organs. And I don't know, I guess she plays through several of the kinds of difficulties that women have in relationships or in the physical sides of a romantic relationship. And and it's pretty funny sometimes, and it's interesting. And I also watch some people who all they do is they mostly play Sudoku and show you how to do better at Sudoku. And you would think, okay, that sounds terrible, right? That sounds boring, right? But no, I find it actually fascinating. And then, of course, I watch chess. I watch both just games themselves, but usually not in real speed, because watching games in real speed can be very tedious, even if it's a speed game. But there are several places that do commentary on chess games, or sometimes events in the chess world that might have some kind of interest to those who follow it. And so I watch that pretty regularly. Um, Now, recently, one thing I've been doing is, there's a whole kind of those shows about murderers and whatnot, right? And I didn't know anything about them being in other languages and that kind of thing. But as I have been constantly searching for things in French on YouTube and watching various things in French, that's one thing that keeps popping up on my feed is documentaries about crime in French, real crime in French. Now, of course, those are, like TV shows. Those are not really YouTube creators usually. But yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if you're going to do this, watching what's out there, seeing what's out there is probably a pretty good idea because, what kind of content do people want to see? And that's the thing. I mean, the things that I know about well enough to do these kinds of things, I don't think that I could do something on music that would rival the people that are out there. I do know a lot about music, but I don't know music in the very specific kinds of ways. I don't talk about music in the very specific kinds of ways that the people who make the music content on the internet do it. And ultimately, with music, my basic approach would be you don't really need to listen to what I'm telling you about the music. Go listen to it if you want to hear what it is. I mean, because ultimately that's the thing with music, right? I mean, I can tell you how good Miles Davis is or that kind of thing, but ultimately you're the one who has to go listen to it and decide if it meets your aesthetic criteria. Does it meet your tastes? Because, aesthetic taste is a very individualistic thing. And it doesn't really matter if I tell you that, I don't know, that Taylor Swift is a good artist or that Nickelback is a bad artist. If you like Nickelback and you don't like Taylor Swift, well, that's just the way it's going to be. And, maybe, perhaps there's some place where somebody with some kind of authority can say that I have good taste or bad taste, or you have good taste or bad taste. But, again, we don't live in a world where those kind of gatekeepers matter a whole lot. Despite that, it is true that there are certain songs, there are certain bands, there are certain albums, there are even certain musical movements that clearly have won the test of time and have staying power. As an example, just one simple example, the song "Smoke on the Water" by Deep Purple. People who have no idea what else Deep Purple has ever done. People who have no idea who Ritchie Blackmore is. Who have no idea who the members of Deep Purple are. Don't even know what album that's on. Don't know what year it came out. Never listened to lyrics. Have no idea what it's about. But that song is still a song that people know. And it's just one of thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not more, of songs that are like that. I mean, Carly Simon, "You're So Vain." Again, I mean, who knows anything about Carly Simon outside of that song? Some people, of course, love her. But many people have no idea who she is, other than she's the woman who sang that song. And just like "Smoke on the Water," most people have no idea what it's about. Of course, in this case, that's because Carly Simon hasn't told anybody what it's about exactly. Although I think I did see something like a year ago where she was saying who it was about or something. There was some speculation or whatever. I mean, does it really matter? No, because, that's what we do with songs. I mean, we hear the song and, okay, so it's about somebody, some famous person that she was involved with or whatever, but we don't know that person. We don't know that relationship. We have no emotional ties to that. But we do have emotional ties to the people in our lives and the relationships that we've had or are in. And so, we might come across somebody who in our life we think of as the kind of person that you could sing a song like "You're So Vain" about. And so, even though we know that song isn't really about that person, for us personally, it's about that. Or like "Smoke on the Water." Most people would associate a song like that with, a place that they heard it or a time in their life, and that kind of thing. And that's kind of how these songs sort of, get into people's minds and get into people's lives. So I can't tell you why "Smoke on the Water" is a better song or a not better song than other Deep Purple. I can't tell you if You're So Vain is a good song or just a fluke. I can't tell you if Carly Simon's a good songwriter or a bad songwriter. I don't have that kind of understanding and approach to these kinds of things. And even if I did, would you listen? I mean, one thing I can tell you is Smoke on the Water doesn't sound like a lot of Deep Purple. So if you like Smoke on the Water, you may or may not like Deep Purple because they don't sound like that. For one thing, they switched singers and drummers. Oh no, drummers. I think they kept the same drummer throughout their entire career, but they switched almost every other band position. So a band that started out in 67, 68, I think, and their most recent album was like last year or something. They've been around for a while, and they've had quite a few different periods and different music. So just because you like one song by Deep Purple, believe me, it doesn't mean you're going to like them all. And actually, if you start to listen to Deep Purple and like Deep Purple, you'll discover that Smoke on the Water is not really one of the songs that the fans really like a lot. It's one of those songs that's just like, okay, this is their crap song that got really popular, and okay, it's a good riff and everything, but I've heard it so many times, I don't need to hear it again. It's too simple, blah, blah, blah. I like Smoke on the Water, but I can tell you that there are a lot of Deep Purple fans who are kind of tired of it. So, anyway. All right, well, let's see how this one goes. Have a good day.